going on, YouTube world? Steve, Brad, Dave, IRP 174. A lot of free agency shit going down. Again, tampering period, so it's not official, signed in stone, but about noon yesterday. So 11 o'clock, I think, Central Time. It was the old Trade Rumors app absolutely blew the fuck up. I was like, wow, what's going on? Did I miss something? Am I 2-3 days early? I don't remember. And I'm just.
Yeah, it was nuts for about a 4 or 5 hour period there. Like today was more like each hour there was something. Not
You had a couple things coming in, and okay, here's a trade, here's another bigger signing, but it's like, holy cow, just everything. And that's what makes it fun.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you had zero expectations for your team and they're like 50, 60 million over the cap.
And there's nothing you can do about it either.
Yeah,
that's the worst part. There's like I was like looking like, where are they even going to get this from? And
you got to get rid of two of the cogs,
right? And that's not even that much cap savings. Is the worst part. You could release. I think I looked. You could release all four of those guys, and still only save like 30 million because you mess with their contracts and stuff, and it's so bad.
And that's the thing, we're kicking the can down the road. If you do it for a year, whatever,
right?
But if you do multiple restructures, you're sort of in the not even like the Bobby Bonilla signing where you're guaranteed. It's like the Zach Parise, Ryan Suter, you're paying like 14.5 million, 13.5 million for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And that causes you to, like Tampa Bay too. The Lightning, they're always up against that cap where they're trying to figure out something. How they do it down there, I don't know. I think this year it's going to come to a head in the off season, but that's a discussion for another time. I know Steve would love to dive into that. If Stamkos would be back, or Sharacherov, but I digress.
In all fairness, though, with them increasing the salary cap by quite a substantial amount of money, everybody should have seen the writing on the wall as far as this being probably a little bit more active of a free agency than years past. Because now some franchises have money to spend. Others, they're, of course, still trying to get underneath the new cap because of what they did before. The Broncos.
Yeah, you're in tank gear, buddy.
Oh,
enjoy that.
But
at least they're doing it right. Just do it all in 1 year and be done with it.
Well, see, and that's the thing. It's going into the off season. I was 50-50 on, do they give Russ another chance, or are they actually just going to say, fuck it? But with them increasing the salary cap, it's like, okay, yep, this is going to be a full-blown rebuilding year. They're going to start just cutting the shit out of people, and that's exactly what they've been doing. So I kind of, once I saw the increase and knowing exactly what the hit would be to the cap if they cut Russell, like, I'm like, okay, yep, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, even though it's like the right thing, it just sucks. You don't want to be a fan
without
of
a doubt.
taken. Like, yeah, it's not fun.
No.
It's not fun. When you watch every week and you go, who is this freaking guy every week? Because they're going to trot somebody out there to sign. I remember in 2019 with the Dolphins, every week I was like, I don't even know who this is.
Well, and the fact that they draft 12, if they do go quarterback, are any of the top guys actually going to be left at 12? I mean, who knows?
I'm going to say absolutely not.
And is it the guy? But it's the guy that you want,
right?
And again, that's if I'm them, unless you've got some stupid grade on somebody after that first 3, maybe. But you need so many fucking parts. You can't sit there and be like, we're the quarterback away.
Well,
You've
There's
got
spec-
you lost your center, your number 2 receiver, blocking tight end, linebacker, safety. Simmons is gone. I know they re-signed Locke, but I mean, there's it's like you could take a pick at every position, and it's still. I mean, you'd still be.
For them, I think it's going to be similar to the Dolphins, where they didn't take the quarterback the first year; they took it the second year, because you got to be horrible first, and then you do the quarterback the next year.
Well, and that's the thing, speculation is they're high on McCarthy, but it's at the end of the day, if it's not the guy you want, that you feel like you can build your franchise around, why take a risk?
Exactly.
Take the best player on the board that fits a need, because they're going to be in a rebuilding year for at least the next couple of years. I mean, they at least have Stidham. So, I mean, technically he can start, but he's not the answer either.
I'd like to see a full year. Again, if you're going to be bad, trot him out there. Say, hey, you know what?
They are.
Take the reins. You showed a little bit in Oakland or Vegas a couple of years ago. You had enough to get people's interest was piqued. Obviously, with the Russ situation last season, it's like probably not a situation you wanted to be in or the way you wanted to go in. But at the same time, you don't go out there and look like a complete dipshit where I can't read coverage, I can't read anything, I don't know anything out here. You look competent. And again, with pieces that are missing or limited by injury. So I wish they would have gotten more for Jerry Jeudy than a bag of circus peanuts and zip ties. I'm like, what do we go 5th and a 6th? Or really? Really?
But see, that's the thing. They waited
too long.
They waited too long to move him as it is. And let's face it, he has the dropsies, but that's his only downside. The guy can get open, and I can't tell you how many different times, because I don't have enough fingers and toes, that Russ didn't even see him open.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's a very talented receiver. Is he a number 1?
But he went to Cleveland where he doesn't have to be.
That's the key.
And that's the thing. And to me, that's a deadly combination. And that he's only going to help Cleveland. If he can rectify the issues with the drops and a little bit of the injury bug, he's a solid receiver. I hated seeing him go, but Denver didn't use him also to his potential, I don't think.
No.
And they're hoping Mims steps in and becomes the superstar wide receiver that they hope him to be. And, unless they decide to use him like a Tyreek Hill and he's only getting the deep balls and shit like that, then what's the fucking point, right? Patrick hasn't seen the football field in forever and a day from injuries, which is disappointing because I think that kid's got talent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sutton's a stud. Sutton's a stud. So, I mean, they have 3 solid receivers right now.
And I don't know if Sutton makes it. I don't know if Sutton makes it through the offseason with him. I still think he's gone too.
Yeah, I would think so too.
It's a possibility, but that's also speculation.
Thing. Yeah.
The one thing I hope Denver doesn't do.
Relocate?
No. Not unless they're going to relocate to Dallas and shift the Cowboys up to Denver. Then I'd be okay with that. I have concerns that if Denver goes after the quarterback they really want, and if they try and move up in the draft, that they'll move Surtain.
Uh-huh.
And that's something that I don't want to happen.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that would be an automatic. I must have him if you are moving up to me. You know,
yes.
not only am I getting your first round pick, I must have him as well.
Yep. So basically, it's you're getting one and giving up two in that situation, and that's one thing I hope they don't do, because like he's a guy you can build around as far as your leader in the secondary.
You need those too. Again, it's not,
and that's the thing. You need that. So,
and you think, and again, you think coming off a trade a few years ago, giving up a massive haul for an opportunity, again, not the same opportunity, taking pieces from a roster and picks. What I can see Washington doing it though. They're just that team seems like it's still being run by Snyder. I know it's not, but it's the him trying to fleece somebody. Usually he's getting fleeced, but I mean Denver, like I said, the Judy trade and the Russ trade, they're not. You look at them, even at the time, you're like, man, that's a lot to give up for Russell Wilson as he starts entering. Again, not the twilight, but I mean, you're not at 26-year-old Russ anymore. And that's if you're trading that for 26-year-old Russ, I think people are like, okay, that's a manageable haul. Again, it sucks that you're giving up so much, but a Russ that's had a couple down years. I mean, not great by his standards, and the Judy trade, you get nothing back. Again, you could sit there and be like, oh, 3 years from now, that fifth rounder turned into some linebacker, some edge rusher, whatever. Again, whatever. On the surface, to get at least a number 2 receiver when you have a competent one for a fifth and a sixth, and again, you've got 1 year left on like a $12, $14 million deal, whatever the case may be. That's not terrible. I'm like, somebody else out there that nobody else could be like, I'll give you a fourth. A fourth. I mean, fourth, it's like, okay, a lot of gems in the fourth. A lot. But the fifth and the sixth, you're sitting there and you're like, ooh. Okay. But if they trade up and they give up Surtain, man,
I'm gonna lose my shit.
I'm like,
I'm gonna lose my shit.
You might have two free agents for football teams on the top that I'm not going to have anybody left to cheer for except Justin Herbert. Maybe Natron Means will come back as their running back, and then your team's going to be trading away everybody for hope.
I mean, look, Denver does not have a good track record with drafting quarterbacks as it is. We've touched on this briefly in past episodes, and look, I get it. They're trying to build for the future, so at some point they're going to have to draft a quarterback. They're going to have to, but it's got to be one, the guy that they absolutely want. Two, he's got to be the right fit with Peyton's coaching.
That's the guy making these decisions right now.
Oh, I know he is. He's the one telling George Patton what he wants. I know.
I don't like this guy. Get rid of. That's why Judy goes for a fifth and sixth, and Russell Wilson.
That's why Russ goes, because Peyton was used to Breeze, and that's two varying personalities there. You know, you have a guy like Breeze, who, yes, let's face it, is probably calling his own freaking plays too.
Oh, yeah.
But, they could have a conversation and Peyton could feel like he was being listened to and he could have some sort of say. Russ just doesn't come across as that type of individual, you know. But like I said, it's got to be the guy they want. It's got to be the right fit for the system. And 3, if they're going to draft somebody in the first round, they can't freaking give up on them after a few seasons. Like, they have to be committed. Because if they're not committed, then what the fuck is what's the point? So.
And that's going to be huge because, again, Peyton signing up, it wasn't expected to be a long-term type of retooling. And it was like, well, I'll come in. I got my franchise quarterback. I got some pieces on the outside. Defense is solid enough where if we add a couple guys to that, we should be at least challenging Kansas City. And now the only thing you're going to be challenging is a top 5 pick probably next year. So,
which, if that's what they're gunning for, okay, but what's the quarterback class looking like next year? And if it's Shakur Sanders, then I'm fucking done. I'm just going to say it.
All right, that's who we're rooting for now.
Like, I'm done. I mean, like I said, they're high on McCarthy. There's speculation of Bo Nix. You know me, I don't watch enough college ball to know the intangibles and what they're – I pay attention to round 1 of the draft, and I listen to all the takes on certain players and so. Like, I listen, and there's varying opinions across the board. But like I said, is the guy you want going to be at 12? And if he's not, then you don't push the issue. You don't give up a guy like Surtain to move up to get your guy, and then 2 years from now basically shit the bed and say, okay, yeah, we're moving on again. Like, it agitates the fuck out of me, and I'll leave it at that.
well, yeah, and then if you flop firsts, give up Surtain, what other draft capital are you going to have to give up? That's going to be the issue. So, you guys did sign. I saw him going to Jacksonville, and then I looked again, and he's returning to you guys, your kicker. Luck.
Whoop-de-fucking-do.
That's really about all there is for you. So,
And they got your old safety, Brandon Jones, from Miami.
You overpaid him. Yes, I was shocked at that one.
You could tell.
I was like, oh.
A lot of money was being a lot of stupid money.
I will say, I was glad to see the fat guys getting paid. I always said it made no sense that the offensive guards weren't paid anywhere close to the offensive tackles, especially now with how athletic defensive linemen are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how much pressure comes from up the middle now? Like, it's a lot different than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it never made sense how you didn't value the inside, especially if you have a pocket quarterback that gets pushed back into you, you know. So I was glad to see the fat guards getting big money and the fat defensive tackles getting big money. So I will say I'm all on board for the fat guys getting paid. So that's the one spending spree I'm all right with.
Unless you're McGlinchey and getting your contract restructured.
Yeah, Carolina, they lost a couple players, but again, they didn't seem to mind. And again, how fucking bad do they have to feel for not this past year, but the year, 22?
I was going to say, speaking of waiting too long to make a trade.
Oh, good gravy.
Oh, my goodness. And
what
I don't get with that, you knew right then and there, Brian Burns there was no hometown discount. He told you what he wanted. He was fair. I want to be paid top 3. So you either were willing to do that or you weren't.
Yeah.
if you were willing to do it, I'm fine with you not trading him, even though that's a heck of a haul. But you obviously weren't willing to do it. So what are you doing? I don't get it. So for people that don't know, they were going to get 2 firsts and a second from the Rams. And the Rams didn't have picks until this year and next year, first rounders. But still, like, you're not ready to win anyways. And now they get a second and fifth from the Giants. And that's it. For those that don't know that backstory. Nothing changed in that situation to where it wasn't like, oh, yeah, I'm going to sign with you, and he didn't. It wasn't like one of those situations. You weren't blindsided. He told you up front, you got to pay me top 3, basically. And I assume that meant no problem. We'll do that.
Nope. Yeah, it was something that wasn't like a surprise. It's like, no, you can just pay me top 10. I'll be happy. It was like, no, the line is in the sand. My play on the field reflects that. I went out there again, and the play reflected it. And you still were like,
That was a mess. But I do like the fact they got 2 legit guards now for your short quarterback. Again, it matters more for those guys than it does for the 6'4". So I do like that. They overspend, of course, but you have to when you're bad. That's what you got to do. So that was a good investment, even though they flubbed up the defensive side of the ball.
What do you think about the trade today?
Which one?
They got Deontay Johnson from Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah, that was good because I feel like you got a better player in return than you gave back.
So, and again, the draft capital was what I think they gave up a 6.
They were changed to 6 and a 7 or something. Yeah.
Big who cares?
Yeah. Deontay Jackson, NFL corner. Not special, but functional. And Deontay Johnson's a better than functional wide receiver. So I would say the Panthers won that.
And again, he wanted to get out of Pittsburgh too, so.
Yeah, that was just getting stale.
No, you don't have to get Robbie Anderson or Robbie whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, you don't want
to. Robbie Immaculate.
He changes it every year.
Yeah. Him and Ron Artest should get married. Change their name every 2 minutes. But yeah, then they got Ashawn Robinson, signed him, former Detroit, second rounder? Either late first or early second from Bama. That was with the Rams last year. And then they signed Josie Jewell, your former backer from Iowa.
Yeah, I was I don't want to say I was disappointed with losing him because I kind of like that kid. But like I get it. Like this is they are cutting money. So like,
but what I don't get from the Panthers' point of view, Jewell's a little cheaper than Luvu was.
Mm-hmm.
But Luvu's better.
Yep.
And a year or 2 younger. Cap space is not a problem for you right now.
No.
Why? Unless he just refused to sign there. I don't know those details. Maybe he said, I ain't signing you guys. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like, okay.
But being that he went to Washington, I don't think that was the situation.
No.
Of I will sign with you because you're bad. So yeah.
No, it was just.
And why Robert's here, just the Bears. My other rant, I don't want to pay David Montgomery $6.5 million last year, but I will now go pay DeAndre Swift $8 million this year. Proven guy that produces every year. One guy that does have skills. I like DeAndre Swift.
But
doesn't have the consistent production of David Montgomery for more money. And it's the same general manager. So it's not like all GM change, not this guy's fault, right? What was the line? I mean, they were pinching pennies with David Montgomery to the point where I think he got so pissed he wouldn't have signed with him anyways. But why? It just I don't get it.
No,
so that was my other, because like my family's Bears fans, and they were all in that kind of same I thought we were just doing the young running back thing, like they drafted Roshan Johnson last year. They have Khalil Herbert. No, now we're going to pay one.
Well, yeah, you got Herbert and you got Johnson. If you're going to get somebody else, get a complimentary back. Don't sign somebody for a large chunk of money. You had initially the most going in, or we're going to head into it, a free agency with the most money. You had re-signed whoever you got from Washington. I can't. Sweat? Was it Montez Sweat? You did the Jalen Johnson deal. So it's like, okay, you got two of those pieces that you were looking for anyway. One was going to be defensive minded. And you had said basically 3/4 of the year that you wanted to get something done with Johnson. I mean, that was not, I don't know if it was public knowledge, but it came out as public type
situation. You know how sometimes when a guy gets hurt, it can cost you money.
Yep.
Well, there's sometimes when a guy gets hurt, you realize there's nothing behind that guy.
Yep.
And then your price actually went up. And I think that was the case with him when he got hurt this season. Not even functional on that side of the field. And they were like, okay, we'll just pay him.
No, then you signed Byard from formerly, basically, people remember from Tennessee. A little cup of coffee with the Eagles last year after he
and I'm willing to believe that just wasn't a good fit.
No.
Because that was by far the worst he's played in the NFL. And
he looked completely.
But that whole defense was just
terrible.
A mess. So at $7 million or whatever he got, that's fine a year. I refuse to believe he forgot how to play football completely.
Just real quick, so I can get Eric to shush his mouth and throwing out the all caps. You want to know why he's not here? You can message him. We were given explicit directions of not to convey exactly why he's not here. So, take it up with him. Not that I or Dave or Brad or even he owes anybody a fucking explanation. He is not here for reasons. That should be a sufficient enough reason to move on. Soapbox retract.
But I think the biggest headline of all free agency for me was the running back carousel.
Everywhere,
I mean, we're not talking just the garbage guy. That the bottom feeder always switch around, right? But all the top guys switched around, which is you don't always see that. So what was your favorite one of those guys? Because, the top couple got paid, in that 13 million range. But then everyone else got like 8, 6, depending on the range you got. So what was your favorite one of those?
Oh, I'm so happy that the Chargers signed Gus Edwards.
But with Harbaugh coming in, he had to have a guy like that. Which is the way it is. But my problem with that, you could draft a guy like that in round 5.
You can have a fucking punching bag fall forward from the yards that he did. Today, Derrick Henry signed. It just fits.
That was the nightmare place to go for me. I was like, just don't go there, and of course, don't go to the Bills or something. But I was like, do not go to the Ravens. Sure
enough. I don't mind Saquon with the Eagles. Eckler with Washington absolutely makes 0 sense.
That's what I thought. Okay, we're on the same wavelength.
That's why I said Snyder's still in charge there, because that's a Daniel Snyder signing. I like Gibson to New England. I think that's a sneaky one.
Yeah.
Pollard to Tennessee makes 0 sense. You've got Tajay Spears, so I mean that's the same fucking back.
Thank you. That's what I said. I don't have a problem with Tony Pollard per se, but
when you have the
same guy that arguably could be better than him,
and could have been starting probably halfway through last year, instead of watching fucking Derrick Henry struggle.
We're on the same wavelength so far.
Jacobs, I like. I don't. Again, if you're gonna pay Aaron Jones that money or Josh Jacobs, I'd rather pay Josh Jacobs that money. I don't like 4 years, but whatever. Again, that's how it's gonna be. I like the Vikings taking Jones for $7 million for 1 year. That's a lot better than what they've been trotting out the last couple of years.
That was an oddly quick turnaround too. That was weird because I thought he would have some suitors.
And I talked to the gourmet guy at the store today, and it's like in the morning, early in the morning, I'm like, okay, it's either Dallas, Houston, or Minnesota. And if it's Minnesota, they better act quickly because Dallas hasn't done anything. So it's like, okay, you're going to do something. You better do it quick. And saw that come in as like whatever 10:30ish or 10. I'm like, hey, Aaron Jones signed. Like, what?
Yeah, I didn't expect him to get signed that quick.
So I think that was something on his part where it's like, I want to get, even if it's a 1 year deal, if I get decent money, I'll go there.
Be the last one, and then you get 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say musical chairs. Yeah. Where now I get to go here. Oh yay! I'm with Arizona. Whoop-de fucking do. Whatever the case may have been. I don't know who else would be out there.
Yeah, Singletary.
I didn't like Singletary. I didn't like Singletary to the Giants. I didn't like that for that money.
Well, and Singletary had his best year with the Texans, and they went and traded for Joe Mixon, which is the bigger name, but I don't know that he's any better at this point.
No,
he was more of just a receiver for the Bengals last year than he was a runner. So yeah, I don't hate Joe Mixon, but he has lost a step. That was shown last year. He was not the same guy.
And I wouldn't be shocked if that's like a training camp cut. If they draft somebody and Dameon Pierce shows anything from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was weird. He was very good at his very start, and then
just was completely lost out there last year. Yes, Joe, the gourmet guy, usually does have good takes because I think he's in about 4 different dynasty leagues, football and baseball. So he's got all the app stuff, the whatever Sirius XM. He drives around a lot, so he's about an hour and 10 minutes from me. And he goes to northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan for some of his like stores, and so he's always listening to that stuff. So he's pretty spot on, but we're both sort of surprised with that news so quickly. Jones released, and then like less than 16 hours later, Jones signs, and it's like, again, Derrick Henry's still out there. Why is nobody? Again, there's not a lot of tread left on the tire. It's like a Jamal Anderson situation where it's like you don't want to sign him for 3-4 years because good luck.
Right. Like, is he just the trend breaker?
Yep.
He's just always going to rush for 1,000 yards as long as he wants to play, or is he the anomaly basically? So even last year he did rush for like 1,200 yards, So, and it wasn't like Tennessee's offensive line was very good, so it wasn't like so. Yeah, worth the deal he got and where he's going. So, and
then plus with the complimentary backs there, that Mitchell gets healthy by training camp.
You want to talk about thunder and lightning?
That's gonna be
that guy's fast.
There's Justice Hill. That's crap.
Yeah, he's just a little receiver guy. Yeah.
And they usually find somebody anywhere or anyway in the draft or priority free agents. That's where the Mitchell came from, East Carolina. It's like nobody was excited about him at the draft. And again, Baltimore, sans Ozzie Newsome still finds those gems.
Oh, yeah. We always talk about that every year. We're like, that was another good pick by Baltimore. And like, even though they miss on some stuff, it's like there's a reason they're always good.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't care that they have 3 of this guy on their roster. He's the best player. I'm taking him.
Yep.
And then when free agency does hit and you lose Patrick Queen or you lose, it's not devastating. Yeah.
No.
I already planned for that. No problem.
Yeah.
Howie Roseman for the Eagles kind of does that too. He was planning for the Jason Kelsey retirement 2 years ago with the Cam Jurgens pick.
Yeah.
People were like, "That's high for a guy that you don't even gonna have start." Well, he knew what was coming, and he's like, "He's good, so I'm going to draft him." So.
And same with their D tackles last 2 years for Jordan Davis and the other one.
Jalen Carter,
yeah. I mean, you got those two. Cox is going to be gone at some point.
Hargrove left. Yep.
Yeah. You have these people that are, you don't want them to go.
He can't find linebackers to save his life, but everything else he seems to.
No.
It's like, can we have a race to Bobby Wagner, who still somehow has it in the tank? Oh, you want to talk about two teams that need him, Cowboys and Eagles. I would have them bidding against each other right now, man.
Yeah, because Seattle obviously doesn't want him back for another go-around, which, again, I don't get. But you start changing over coaches, people making the decisions. It's like you might not have that Pete Carroll. Well, I'm invested in this guy, like emotionally and financially, and I want him around because I'm the familiarity. It's like, no. Again, Brooks going to your Dolphins, Wagner's still out there. I don't know.
They also thought they were getting Queen because I don't know if you saw last night. One of the reputable people reported that he was going to Seattle. And then I woke up this morning and all of a sudden he's in Pittsburgh. So I don't know what happened with that. Because, this wasn't like an NFL rumors site I saw that. It was one of the reputable guys I check it. And I'm like, okay, because that made sense because that's where the Ravens defensive coordinator went to be the head coach was in Seattle. So that made perfect sense. And then I woke up and out of nowhere, Pittsburgh, he's in Pittsburgh. So that was But the other, to me, headline were the part-time players that got big money. So I have 5 of them, I think, 5 or 6 of them. Bryce Huff, who was with the Jets. He's had one good season. He's been in the league 3 or 4 years. His per play, like per pressure, per play, it's like one of the top in the league. But he's a part-time player. But you paid him 3 years, $50 million to the Eagles. Could be a steal if he keeps up his per snap.
Yep.
If he plays more, but is he just one of the, Dorrance Armstrong from the Cowboys, 7-8 sacks each year the last 2 years, good rotational player. He gets 15 plus million a year from Washington. So again, these could be, dummy you look at in 2 years, or it was you actually got the steal of the deal because they played full time and they did double their numbers, But a lot of guys, like Andrew Van Ginkel, for instance, he's as good with 30 snaps as he is with 55 snaps. The stats are the same, So are those guys like that? And the other one who got the biggest contract of all of them was Jonathan Greenard from the Texans. Goes to the Vikings for almost $20 million a year. I was the biggest, to me, flooring. Now, he did have 12 sacks last year. But before that, I think he had one decent year 2 years prior to that. But he's an established 4 or 5 year guy. He's had one big season. So, again, did he just figure it out? Found the perfect system? You're going to get 20 sacks if he's a full-time player, or are you getting 6 sacks for $20 million a year?
Yeah, they need because Davenport went to Detroit for half of what he had last year. And I know they traded on him. I'd pick for him, they signed him from the Saints, and then Daniil Hunter today. Trying to remember where he went.
He did go to the Texans. Texans had a good little free agency for sure.
Because, again, they didn't focus on the big names, and they focused, again, you lose people in that system that worked. Let's bring in people to the system that are going to work.
Yeah, the Texans, why we're just talking about the Texans, they had my favorite free agent signing. My man crush is Aziz Al-Shaair, who is, to me, better than Patrick Queen is. He just didn't play on good of a team last year. And you get him for cheaper than Patrick Queen.
And Danico Autry was.
Oh, yeah, that's another great one people don't talk. He was a beast with the Colts and Titans. So, yeah,
D'Amico
Ryan's going to have that defense in the top 5, I would imagine. And I wouldn't be surprised if he signs even another corner, too. A lot of talk of Xavier Howard free release going there at some point. Be good because he doesn't have to be the number one guy. So,
yep,
he's lost the stay. He can't cover the fast guys anymore, but he's still got ball skills and yeah. So the other part timer, Darnell Mooney, gets $13 million a year from the Falcons. That guy had 1,000-yard season in the year where the Bears had no other receivers. This was pre-J.J. Moore. This was post-Allen Robinson. So isn't that weird? So he had 1,000-yard season 2 years ago. But other than that, pretty invisible. And he gets $13 million. So that is complete. It's almost like when you do drafting, you are just complete projecting on that one that Kirk Cousins will make him good, basically.
And I think with him there, and again, I know this past year he wasn't a 1, but knowing you don't have to be a 1, or you're even like a 1B because you got Pitts as a tight end, sort of flank him out. It's like I can do whatever. I can either go deep or I can do the old. Can't remember the Vikings guy, Chris, the white, Chris Walsh, like the 4-yard in. If it's third and 3, 4-yard in, I'll get the first down. I could do a post corner and get a touchdown. I mean, I think if I like what Atlanta did. I know that, and we've said it before to teams that they're going to overpay. Probably the second deal on the table for Mooney would have been like a 3-year, $30 million, and that's whatever. That's acceptable. But you're gonna have to overpay to get these guys. Like, okay, you want to come here? Oh, Atlanta, I don't know. I like the music scene, maybe some food and some barbecue. I'll give you like $10 million more than you've got, like an offer. Okay, and then you got Cousins, and it's like you got Bijan. You got a pretty decent offensive line. Defense is pretty. Again, not a lot of names there.
Yeah,
but I mean,
pretty well last year, most of the year.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like you got, and you're in a division, and that's the one thing I've said. You're in a division that fucking is terrible. Yep. The only thing there is parity, and it's terrible. You can win with an 8-9 record. Mm-hmm. So you're bringing back Baker for Tampa. You got Mike Evans. You got Levante David. Right now, you got Winfield tagged. You haven't re-signed him yet, but at some point, that bloom is off the rose. That's going to be like a 5-12 team because guys are going to get hurt. They have been the last year or two. Baker getting $50 million guaranteed when he's had 1 or 2 games. The Rams, he looked decent.
Yep.
Again, I know they brought one of those guys over to Tampa, but at the same time, that doesn't mean automatic success. I hope so. It's again, the Browns just deserve everything they get. And again, I'm a Browns fan, so again,
that's what the shame is they were close and screwed it
up. So it's Atlanta doing what they're doing. I love it. Because, again, last year you signed, like, the linemen. You signed Jesse Bates, go cover the back end for defense. You're doing it the right way. And you're not just, like, blowing constant load after load. Again, Cousins, you're either going to draft a quarterback and you don't know, or you're going to pick somebody up that has at least a track record of above average and accuracy issues that aren't issues that are they're traits that you want. One of the most accurate quarterbacks out there. So, and he's got a decent arm. I'd rather pay for that, hoping to come off an injury, than, okay, we're at number 8, number 4, number 7, whatever the pick they are. It's always them top 10 and trying to draft a quarterback. I'd rather have somebody that knows what the hell's going on with those offensive pieces who know, so far they haven't had any quarterback that knows what's going on. Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota, fucking Desmond Ritter. Nobody's worked with Pitts and London that's known a fucking thing about what's going on. You get a veteran in there, just the kid from like Addison, got Jefferson, Hawkinson. You've had all these players, these top tier offensive players in Minnesota. He's worked with them. He's made them look good. They've made him look good. I'm just saying.
And you get a guy that everyone likes.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody can rally around
a teammate that like bashes Kirk Cousins. You know, now fans do because they make fun of him for not winning playoff games.
Yeah,
but hey, he's getting there. He's getting there. You know, but yeah, and his injury. If a guy needed to have, I think it was Achilles.
Yep.
Let's say he's 80% because he's older. It won't affect him like it would someone else. You know, he's not moving anyways. You know, he's doing straight up and back, right? So as long as it's healthy enough to push forward or push off of, it's not as big of a risk as it would be for some other people.
Yeah, he's reading that Kerry Collins playbook. It's drop back and move forward. Drop back, move forward. If you're moving left to right, you might as well just go down. You're going to get tackled by somebody. The ref or the umpire or somebody out there is going to field judge, going to nick you if the opposing team doesn't. So,
yeah, it's a lot of money, but I think it was worth the roll of the dice to do it because you've drafted all these skill position players 3 years in a row.
Top 10.
You still don't know what they are.
Yeah.
You see flashes, but you still don't know what they are because the quarterback play was so bad.
Yeah, if you got consistency
and
from the quarterback.
It didn't help them out either.
No.
And the last one of part-time players that got random big contracts, Colby Parkinson. People are wondering who the hell is that? This is a guy I believe has not had over 300 yards receiving in any year. He got 3 years, $22 million from the Rams. He's a tight end. I don't know. Maybe you can explain this one to me. I don't know.
I can't. Okay. You've got Tyler Higbee there. You don't need to be paying your tight ends a truckload of money. Obviously, you need another receiver. I know Kupp is very good, but he's starting to show a little injury proneness. Puka Nacua, give it to me one more year, and then we'll say yes or no on that. Because again, there's been plenty of times when there's been flashes in the pan and miraculous seasons, and all of a sudden it's like back to reality. To pay $7 million for a guy that, what was his best stat line? Maybe like
I think it was like 304 touchdowns or something.
But I mean, like in a game, like 4 for 60 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that would have been because he was like randomly wide open down the sideline.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he'll have like an 800-yard season. I don't know. But that was the other head scratcher I had on the list of part-time players that got big money.
In all fairness, though, we don't watch every game. And yes, I'm speaking for all of us. Brad, I could be wrong, but I don't think you watch every NFL game every week.
No, about 10 of
them. So there's always that possibility that maybe somebody saw something.
I mean, he's got decent athleticism for sure.
Underutilized in the system. I don't disagree. That's
I just don't know
odd.
Who was the competition. That's what I guess I want to know. Were you betting against yourself? Or was there someone else that saw this too? I don't know.
Well, and that's obviously they thought he was worth the money. What that is, I mean, like I said, who knows? That does seem odd.
Yeah. Because, like Gerald Everett, we all know him. 600 yard guy, right? He'll frustrate you a little bit, make some plays. At best, I would think he's Gerald Everett. He just got signed to the Bears, I think, for like $5 million a year. So, I don't know. Just all.
No, it. And again, it's not like they utilize those tight ends in Seattle anyway. You had all three, and then the guy you re-signed is Noah Fant. Dipley went away. I think he went to my Chargers. Yeah, 3 years, $14 million, 10 guaranteed. And again, he had a couple good games right out of the gate, and then he got hurt, and he got banged up again. So I mean,
He was underutilized in Denver as it is.
Well, no, Fant was, but I mean, Disley was hurt right away. Hopefully, Fant does something because again, top 5 pick and.
Yeah, it's one of those. At what point is it they aren't using me right, and that you just aren't very good?
Yeah.
No, and you're 100% right, Brad. But like,
because I'm with you, he's got tools for sure.
Then again, like Denver, like I don't know, after the win in Super Bowl 50, like I honestly don't know what the fuck they're doing there. In all seriousness, I don't have a clue, and I won't ever have a clue because I'm not a GM of the football team. So like I don't understand, or I'm not involved in conversations behind closed doors in regards to what they're trying to accomplish. But like some things make sense. Although I hate to a degree that they gave up on Russ after 2 seasons, I do understand why they did what they did. Except for the fact that, like, what the fuck? Pittsburgh picks him up for a 1-year deal at, just under $2 million.
Oh, I didn't think owners would do that to each other. Because that's kind of like an unwritten, like, you sign him to the backup contract of like 8 to 10. Possible starter backup. But
it was a jab. Like it was a knife back to Denver. Yep. Because at the end of the day, he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to sign for as little as possible. So the bulk of my money is coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, that was the ultimate. You don't see that in the league that often because owners do try to, because you don't want it done to you, the unwritten rules of, I'll sign him to a legit backup possible starter contract. It's still cheap, but not like that. At least Sam Darnold money,
Yeah.
Well, and speculation was that, and keep in mind this is speculation because, like my good friend and I were chatting the other day, talking about all the shit with Denver and cutting Russ and all this other kind of garbage. He follows it closer than I do, but he had read somewhere that like the extension Russ got came from the ownership conglomerate, not from Patton, not from it had nothing to do with George Patton, nothing. It was all the ownership conglomerate that pushed the issue to ultimately to try and make sure that they were still going to continue to sell tickets because of the amount of money that they invested in the team. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Obviously, they don't know shit about Denver either because Denver's had a waiting list for season tickets for forever and a fucking day. Like, you're not going to sell tickets. The problem is sometimes the people who come up on the list don't want the shitty tickets. So they just kind of move back down to the bottom and it just slowly kind of just, like I said, take it for what it's worth, but that would make sense as to why it was so fast to sign that extension. But then again, you just cost yourself money. Like, Like that makes no sense now. You know what I mean? But whatever. The joys of being billionaires, right?
Yep.
And I think Sean Payton hasn't won any people over. That ownership group, you heard about it. I'm trying to remember if it was like the old owner and then like the daughter was involved or daughter-in-law and son, something in your Denver team. They're trying to take it away from him because he had Alzheimer's, dementia. Something was going on with the dude was old.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Bolin was old.
And again, trying to make them mark, and that's probably why they signed Russ. But I mean, when you hear about that, it's like, well, and you're the Steelers, and you're sort of like that. I'm not saying lower tier team, but it's like the Green Bay type. You don't have endless funds, where some of these teams seem to have endless funds. When you put a team together, there's a lot of thought to it. It's not, this guy's supposed to be the best, I'm signing him.
Right.
So when they have a chance, and Russ is probably like on the page of like, I really don't give a shit what you signed me for. You want to sign me for the minimum? We can sort of stick it to these guys together. I'm not opposed to that. That's my bank account's still getting all that money either from you guys more than what you're going to pay, or we could just be like, I'll take the Josh Dobbs 1.2 million. Denver can pay me the whatever 30 million, 35 million, and 40 million, whatever.
38 and some change, I think.
So what do you guys think? Kenny Pickett's got to start week 1, right?
No.
I don't.
Or do you think?
If
you don't, you've basically given up then.
The way that they're saying it basically is it's going to be a competition between Pickett and Russell Wilson.
And I think Mason's gone.
So
Rudolph says, you know what?
If Russell Wilson wins the job and they do all right, then that's the steal of free agency.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it. But even if he is just the backup, Pickett really hasn't had a decent tenured veteran to work with.
No.
Mason Rudolph has been a mainstay bench warmer, and Mitchell Trubisky is definitely not the guy, honestly, that I want to be under the tutelage of my future franchise quarterback. Yeah, he could be a good guy, whatever, but like, what are you going to teach him? Absolutely fucking nothing. I'm sorry. Like, Trubisky is horrendous at best.
And he's back in, where'd he go, Buffalo again?
Yeah, which is a perfect spot for him.
Yep. All the Looney Tunes are up there.
So, like, I don't fault Russell for doing what he did. I don't at all. You would think, as a fan of Denver and knowing that they were cutting him and him doing that as a jab to, like, I don't blame him. I have no ill will toward him. I'm disappointed that like they literally gave up on him. He didn't do horrible last year.
No, he
didn't do great, but he didn't do horrible. He did better than the first year. So like that was he was on the up and up. Offensive line didn't help him a whole lot.
No.
Did he miss a lot of open receivers? Yes, because he wasn't going through like his progressions like any top tier quarterback is used to doing. Like he was off his game. Like maybe he didn't fully grasp the whole Peyton offensive dynamic. I don't know. And if that's the case, then I could understand and see why the hell they got rid of him.
Peyton's offensive timing, and Russ has never been a timing guy.
No.
So it was just a bad – this is the problem when you have turnover. A high-priced coach gets stuck with a high-priced quarterback he doesn't want. Nightmare.
See, Baz, I disagree. I think Kenny Pickett has a lot of potential. He just hasn't had the right people in the system to make him better or live up to the potential. Because honestly, I wanted Pickett in Denver. Not as a starter, but I wanted Pickett in Denver. Because I liked him. And I'm like, okay, he went to Pittsburgh.
He just has to find a way to put together more than a quarter at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what he does. It's either the first or fourth quarter, and then literally nothing the rest of the game. So.
I think part of his issue, though, was nerves. I really do.
And maybe getting hurt at the end of last year. Sometimes that helps guys. You watch what Mason Rudolph did, who's not any good, but he found a way to move, Maybe it's good. I'm not giving up on any quarterbacks until after year 4. That's pretty much my rule.
See, and we've talked about this so many times. Like Chicago, do they draft Caleb Williams or do they actually trade down? Do they actually give up on Fields? I don't think Fields is a bad quarterback. I really don't.
Well, all right. From a throwing perspective, every statistical thing shows that Mac Jones is better than Justin Fields.
But, is there a but?
But we are enamored with the wow plays of Justin Fields. He's not been any good as a throwing quarterback. He's fine when he does choose to grip it and rip it, but it's just not often enough. So it is there, but he doesn't process information.
Well, then that falls on the coaches.
So that's why first 2 years you get away with athleticism. I didn't even judge him. Year 3, he's literally almost looking at a guy wide open and can't pull the trigger. It's not that he doesn't see him even. It's like he's not. The processing part of the quarterback position should have been better by year 3.
Well, then that's a confidence thing.
So, yeah. So I think we're more enamored with, because you can't teach the athleticism. You can't teach that. So we're more enamored with that and the fact he does have a pretty good arm. But the playing of quarterback, he has shown less than Mac Jones.
Which maybe from a statistical perspective, I could see that. But Mac Jones hasn't done shit. Like some of his stat lines in a game, I could have fucking put up those numbers. And I have no quarterback skill set whatsoever. Hence the reason why he got benched multiple times.
Right. But he was one of those guys that got worse the more he played, which is very rare for a quarterback.
Normally.
He was very good his rookie year, really, for a rookie quarterback. And then regressed. So was it a confidence issue because of what they surrounded him with? They hired Matt Patricia, an offensive coordinator. So my point is, it's not saying Mac Jones is good, but
I know you're not.
It's our mental scope because we have seen the highs of Justin Fields that wow you.
But I said, I go back to confidence. And yes, that part of that falls on him. But it also falls on the coaching staff. So I know these are grown adults and everything else, and there's only so much that you can coach. But if I'm putting things into perspective, if I'm Justin Fields and I want to continue to play NFL football and be a starting quarterback in the NFL, I would expect my coaches to work with me and say, hey, what were you thinking here?
Yeah, tell me what you see. What do you see?
Just right, because that's the thing is you watch the stuff. It's not like he's basically has to see the guy turn around for him to throw. Mm-hmm. You do that in the NFL, you're toast.
100%.
He can't throw 100%. To a spot, basically. Oh. But he will do it. It's almost like when he isn't thinking. when he grips and rips, the ball looks good. He'll be like, whoa. You'll see in a few games where that happens. But it's like the Charles Barkley golf swing. Okay? He gets it. It's the right play call, and he just doesn't process, and then he ends up getting sacked, or he has to take off for an amazing 7-yard run, but it should have been a 16-yard completion where he didn't take a hit, and that's why you're seeing there's not a trade market for him right now, because people are like, I'm enamored with your athleticism. Can I teach you this or not? And that's something I can't answer that because I have no idea how he. As you said, is it a coaching thing or is he just not getting get it?
Well, see, and that's what I'm getting at, and none of us will actually ever know
and I have
the
no
answer
idea.
to that. But like I said, if I'm thinking about things, if I'm a coach, if I'm the quarterback coach, and I'm watching film with my starting quarterback, and you notice things like, what were you thinking here? Like, what was going through your head? Like, is there something that maybe I'm missing in the film? Is it because some freaking defensive lineman is pushing back your left tackle and saying, I'm going to kill you, you motherfucker. And that's automatically what you think. And it throws off your mental state. Like, what is it that's causing you to make what would be considered mistakes that shouldn't be made at this caliber of the game? So, like,
yeah, it's very tough. That's why I think they should keep Justin Fields and have a competition in the offseason. Especially if you're only going to get like a 4th rounder, just keep him. He's cheap.
Yep.
And have a true competition. Maybe he wins the job. Maybe he got better in the offseason. And if he does, then you have 2 trade pieces. You can choose which one.
Yep.
Yep. So I'm all in favor of keeping him and have a true competition in the offseason.
Well, and that could be but as we know, so who's all in the market for quarterbacks? Seriously. Because technically, is Chicago really in the market for a quarterback? I mean,
they're basically just forced to take one because if you don't, then you have to keep him.
That's true.
Because this is the only time, because now they're going to be too good to ever pick probably in the top 10 if things go properly. They're building a pretty good defense and whatnot. So most likely you're not picking up here again for 3 to 4 years at least. So they're forced to pretty much do it. The thing I find hilarious is they have trouble with a guy who sometimes doesn't want to get the ball out, right? Well, they're going to draft the same thing at number 1.
Yep.
Who sometimes just his is more, I want to hold it for the bigger play.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much, I don't see it because he does. So it's a little different. But if it is a coaching issue, then the guy's going to have the same darn problem.
Right.
So that's where I would love to know. Is it a Justin Fields issue or is it a coaching issue? And you're going to find that out here in the next 2 years. So,
well, because
they're forced to pretty much take the quarterback there.
I mean, Atlanta was in the market for a quarterback, not anymore. So,
yeah. So, and then the guys,
they're off the list.
The guys that are for the quarterbacks are pretty much all picking there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah.
Unless somehow they decide to get somebody in free agency, which I guess is still a possibility.
And that's kind of even dried up for your Brissetts of the world and
unless they
Darnolds of the world who still continue to get opportunities. I don't know.
Unless somehow somebody makes a big trade. I mean,
yeah,
which can't happen because, like I said, start the show. Cap went up this year by a pretty significant amount of money, which means some teams who stay within the cap have opportunities to make big moves. And, I mean, I get it's cheaper to draft because, you can no longer have these mega freaking contracts for first round picks. I'll Jamarcus Russell. And for those who don't know, everybody can thank Jamarcus Russell for actually like tapping the whole rookie contract shit. Because that's probably one of the worst draft picks ever in existence. And the amount of money it cost him. Holy shit, that was bad. But
So yeah, the Bears is a very captivating thing because it's not an easy thing. It's not an obvious thing. But you can make a legit argument either way, and you're not wrong. You know what I mean? Like, even though I'm up to, I think you need to keep him, but still draft one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm all for keeping him. For what you seem to be, there isn't a market, it doesn't appear, that's worth trading. So,
is there any potential, though, for Chicago to drop down a few slots?
yes.
And still keep Fields, but still go after a quarterback?
Now, this is a year ago, Caleb Williams was the best quarterback coming out since Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the way it was seen. If that's the case, you can't trade that number one pick. So the question is the year he had this year where it dipped slightly, is he generational or not? If he's generational, you have to keep it. Doesn't matter if you like the next quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep it. So they're in a tough spot. But yes, theoretically, to make the whole team better, trade down.
That's why I posed the question.
Yeah.
Is there somebody else they would rather have? And it's one of those in which they say, fuck it, and draft the guy that they want, not Caleb Williams.
Right.
Because, he's the unanimous number one pick. Well, we all know what happened with Anthony Richardson and what's his nuts? I've lost his name now.
Stroud.
Whoever it was that was the sure number one didn't go number one.
Stroud
was that last year or the year before?
And then Bryce Young.
So, yeah, to me, if you're not taking Caleb Williams, someone will. So you could trade down if you don't want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a consensus a year ago that this is the dangerous part. What changed in a year so much that he's still not the top guy if he's not? You might be overthinking it, Now, when we get to the draft stuff, I'll let you know my opinion of that now that I started watching more of it. But yeah, that's the only concern sometimes these teams are. This guy, I'll take a perfect example, the Alabama corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yep.
Clearly the top corner for 2 years. Had a good year this year, number 5 on the big board of corners. It's because you looked at him for everything you could find wrong because he was the top guy. But you didn't do that with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? You didn't do it with the other 4 guys you just put ahead of him. You put the spotlight on him and looked for every single little thing you could find wrong or any bad game he had. That's the danger of why it is so difficult to draft. But
well, and I know once we get closer to the draft, we'll have the conversation like we do every year. But because this seems to be a more active free agency market so far this year, I feel like there's going to have more repercussions pertaining to the draft in past years just because of all the movement so far this year. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you have Commanders and Bears who drafted quarterbacks that have not got their full time to develop them. But you almost are forced to take one because you're picking 1 or 2.
Yep.
It's very fascinating. So,
And you'll hear too the the catchphrase that it's going to pay during this draft season. Again, Howell has shown adequate traits.
He's an NFL quarterback. He's in the league. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what his ceiling is, but yes.
Fields, same thing.
Right.
I don't know if they have to work with contemporaries of the past and be like, hey, Randall Cunningham's going to work with you on like running, and be like, what do you see here running wise? Then you can have like a Drew Bledsoe come in with Howell. What do you see passing wise? Where Peyton Manning will come in with Fields and be like, hey, what do we see here down the field? What are you seeing passing wise? Where maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. You if you're investing these, and again, Howell was what, a fourth or fifth?
Yeah, he went later for sure. Yeah.
I know he was projected
And
second.
arguably, he's the best quarterback from the class.
Again, that
was a horrible class. Yeah.
Anywho,
Yeah. Anyways, that's
if you're gonna invest the draft capital or you're putting him out there on the field for basically a whole season. Why not try to maximize the talent or your investment instead of just basically saying, man, these guys suck, we're just gonna move on from them. But the key phrase for this draft: reset the quarterback contract or whatever it was. We're resetting the cap or resetting the position where you don't have to sit there now. You're paying $40 million next year for Fields to be a mediocre quarterback.
And it's been a myth of I need my quarterback on a rookie contract to win the Super Bowl.
Yep,
hasn't been happening. So
yeah. So if they weren't in the same division, Vikings would be a perfect spot. But Bears trading Fields to Minnesota, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you would need such a high pick to be able to stomach that. Then they wouldn't give you that, obviously. So, yeah. But the other thing I had written down, you remember when you used to see the hometown guy take the hometown discount? I only have one player that took a hometown discount that I deemed like what seemed like they could have got more elsewhere, and that was Josh Uche of the Patriots, who got, we talked about all these part-time pass rushers. Mm-hmm. He had 11.5 sacks in 2022. He got $3 million guaranteed. Could make 8 if he probably gets 10 sacks or something.
Yeah.
But I was like, he could have definitely got more elsewhere. But that was the only guy out of everyone that signed that stayed with his team for less money. And I found that very interesting. And I'm not even saying it I don't blame the players, obviously, taking the money.
No.
But it's something you used to see pretty regularly. Like, we'll just take the Christian Wilkins deal as an example. A few years ago, he would have took 15. You would see a guy take 15, 20 million less over the course of the contract because he was happy. And you don't see that now. So,
no.
And yeah, just an interesting thing I have noticed, because the fact that I only counted one guy that stayed with their team for less money. So
I got to ask. So, since we've had some big signings as of so far, who's the top guys that you see left? I know that there's still people who will be tagged. There's your restricted, your unrestricted, so on and so forth. Like, who's out there in that realm that still could potentially be moving elsewhere?
So the biggest name is probably Calvin Ridley. Sounds like he wants to be in Jacksonville. Patriots seem to be offering more money. Can he get Jacksonville to get close? Again, you're not taking the discounts, it seems like. So can Jacksonville get close to the Patriots offer? He doesn't want to go to the Patriots. By all reports, it's not what he wants to do. So that's the one to watch. Yeah, I believe if the Jaguars just get close, he would sign there. But I have 6 guys out there that I think are the best values. Now, whether they're the best players, I think the guys are going to be the best values.
Values
Two
good.
safeties. Cameron Curl was a safety for the Redskins. I think get him under $5 million. Julian Blackmon was a safety for the Colts. Big playmaker, had Achilles injury 2 years ago, but was great again last year. Again, you can get all these guys for cheaper than what you've seen other guys get, and I think they're better. This next guy, for some reason, fell off a cliff the last year and a half. Devin White from the Bucks. You remember what that guy looked like? That guy was a freaking dog out there. I mean, he would light you up. What the hell happened? They actually benched him last year.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take a shot at this point. Give me some of that.
It's not going to cost a ton.
Now, he's a downhill player. Don't ask him to – he's going to be out of position sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to deal with it. So you got to get a coach that's like, you do you, pal. Sometimes it will cost a player too. But he's best attacking. But I refuse to believe that guy can't play football anymore.
Yeah.
Old guy, but still good in his 30s, Sheldon Rankins. Great for the Texans last year. Should be cheap. Defensive tackle. Slot receiver, KJ Osborne from the Vikings.
Yeah.
You go to a place that has 2 decent outside receivers, like he did in Minnesota, great value because he shouldn't cost any. He'll cost less than Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
And he's done more the last 2 years, I would say, than Darnell. Definitely last year. And then the last one, coming off the ACL, my former center, Connor Williams. He'll probably be a summer sign to make sure he's clear. That guy was a top 5 center post-snap. And if you know Connor Williams, why I say post-snap is he has trouble snapping the football. Problem when you're the center. But in terms of blocking after that, amazing. Because you remember when he was in Dallas at guard, holding calls galore, right? He made fun of us when we signed him. He was freaking amazing. Outside of the occasional snafu with snaps. But those are the 6 guys I think that you're going to get cheaper, and guys have signed for more than what those guys will sign for. So those are the 6 guys I have left. That look for your team to sign one of those, and I would say you won.
Yeah,
and there's no offensive lineman, by the way. Yeah, I don't know if you've looked at the free agent offensive line list. You can see why the guys got paid what they did. You've got Tyrone Smith that's been in Dallas forever.
Yep.
How's his back? How's his knee? Who knows? That's definitely a short-term deal situation. But when he's out there, he's still good. It's guys like Dalton Wright. Those are the guys you pick up because you had an injury. I can function with you, but yeah, it's rough out there. I don't see many starters left from the offensive line.
No,
I would feel comfortable saying that's a starter. It's mainly backup, swing tackles, that kind of thing. So if you're in need of offensive line help,
good luck.
You better have draft picks.
Yeah, that's why you saw so many guys re-upping last week. I know, what was it, a Kwanu or whatever for
New England. Yep.
He re-upped with them after. That's like if you read anything, it was they're done there. He's moving on. Nope, he re-upped. Okafor comes over from Pittsburgh. Again, he's got starting ability. Do you want him as a starter? Probably not, but that's somebody, if you're in a pinch, he can get in there for you. Ezra Cleveland went down to Jacksonville. They re-signed him. Again, these guys aren't like stalwarts. They're not going to make Pro Bowls, all pro teams, grade out at like a top 10 in the position. But if you need a few games out of them, you're going to be able to get something out of them. And right now, there's, Tyron Smith and Bakhtiari. And
Bakhtiari, I don't even know that guy can play anymore.
No.
We're so used to modern medicine now, guys coming back from knee injuries. And his body didn't respond. I don't know if they've messed up. I never read, did they mess up the surgery? Did his body just not respond to it? Because the way medicine is now, you're usually good within a year. He's had multiple surgeries, I know, on that thing, and it's still not. So sometimes.
So I'm guessing the Chargers will sign him like they did Brian Bulaga and Corey Linsley, and just keep the injured train of Packers linemen going out to San Diego / Los Angeles. It's slim pickings again. This tampering period type deal. It's great because again it gives you a ton of news in the news feed, and it's not just like, oh man, they contacted each other at 12:01 Eastern and it's 12:15. They hammered out a deal. Oh man, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. You heard a lot of stuff leak from when the combine because they're all together. That's when I heard Dolphins ain't re-signing Christian Wilkins because they heard what the numbers were.
Yeah.
So they moved on at that point. And to his thing, Jefferson, he wants $40 million. You're going to have to pay him $40 million a year. Diggs' contract is not really tradable. So that's the problem with that. Jefferson absolutely is. But that would be at least 2 first-rounders and $40 million a year. Because he's not taking a discount, I guarantee you that. Yeah. I would say he wants $40 million a year. And Diggs, they've messed with that contract. I don't think it's tradable. So that's something to watch. I mean, anything's tradable if you throw in sweeteners, but you get what I mean.
No, and if you trade Jefferson, if you're Minnesota, man, you've already got the fan base that isn't smart enough to realize paying Cousins that much was stupid. So you got half those people pissed off.
Yeah.
You want to piss off the other half, plus probably another half, and then 2 other half. You want to piss everyone off. Trade away Jefferson. Unless you're getting like the number 1 pick, but then you're trading with the Bears. So what? You're.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow either way on that one.
If you could trade Jefferson,
that's my prediction.
If you could trade Jefferson, get Washington's 2, get Terry McLaurin or the kid from Penn State last year.
Oh, Dotson. Okay.
Howell and maybe like a future 2nd or 3rd. What's the feedback?
I'm trying to think. Okay. If the Vikings wanted to move up to number 2, okay, they give you Jefferson. But again, I got to pay him $40 million. So then
but if Washington, who wanted to win
a quarterback for Minnesota, oh, that's a tough one. Because I get my quarterback, but the cheap quarterback I'm getting, I'm basically just paying the wide receiver. So I'm not really saving money. That's a tough one. That would be a tough one. That would be awesome. I want to see that one. Because by rights, Justin Jefferson and their first-round pick for number 2 should be enough to do it. But because you have to pay him $40 million, I don't know if they'd have to add more or not. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. That would be fun.
Because again, if you don't pay him, you've seen how it works out before. About 20 years ago, it worked out not great. So, again, it'd be fun because again, that's something where both teams win. Washington has killed for a winner forever. They're again, you're against the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and you're always in fourth place. And if you're not, it's Dak got hurt, Jalen Hurts got hurt. I mean, it's somebody's getting.
I tell fans, you will never lose because you paid great players too much money.
Mm-hmm.
You don't lose because of that. You lost because you paid the scrub too much money. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you may have paid $8 more million than you should have. But if he produces, like, do I care that Tyreek Hill's $34 million against my cap? No. He's worth every penny of it. But do I care that Jerome Baker was $15 million against my cap and he's out there missing tackles? That's what kills you. You know, it's not the guy earning the $34 million, you know? So that's why if you've got the proven commodity, you got to overpay a little bit. At now, wide receiver is a key position the way football's played now. I wouldn't sweat it if I was the team. That's not where I'm going to be cheap. You know, that's my kind of philosophy on it. Is you're usually not losing because you paid your great players too much.
Now I hope that trade happens.
That would be awesome. Yeah, because just what would you get back? Like, how would you have to do it? It's complicated. So it'd be awesome.
Yeah, because Washington would have to have a contingency plan there too, because if they trade away Howell, they don't have.
Yeah, they would have to love like Bo Nix or Michael Penix or there's not really a veteran to really trade for, so it's better than Sam Howell. You know what I mean? So it's so it could just be, hey, I'm going to give Sam Howell more weapons, and maybe we'll actually see if he's any good. You could do that too. I don't know. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm really
Dopey, no. That's not fun. That's boring.
Oh, and by the way, I know it's not draft talk, but when I saw Bo Nix mocked to number 12 to Denver, I got pooped myself. 4th rounder for me. I see him as a lifetime NFL backup. And I'm starting to see him in round 1. Now I have to almost go back and see what did I miss. Because you've seen a lot of him. He's been in college for 6 years. So I go, did I miss something?
Well, that's like I said, I don't watch enough college ball, but on the flip side, that's one of the downsides is the fact that he's not going to be your 23, 24-year-old rookie quarterback because he's been playing for 6 years.
Yeah, you don't have time for development.
Exactly.
He has to be ready, which makes him the perfect backup, you know, because you have played a lot of football, so I know you're functional.
Yeah.
You can process stuff.
Yep.
But, yeah, that's a different day. But I saw that, and it was like Daniel Jeremiah maybe or Bucky Brooks, one of those guys. And I'm like, well, they're obviously hearing that from somewhere. But to be that far off, we're not talking like, oh, I think he's like a second rounder or late for. I see him as a lifetime backup. That's 4th round area, you know. Whew. So now I'm almost have to go back and watch his all 22 again and see if I missed something. But,
You have been wrong before, Brad.
Oh, it happens. That's why I'm like, okay, I missed something. Because sometimes you go in with the preconceived notion and you look for stuff to confirm your bias, right? Everyone has it. I have it, even though I try not to. If you have a thought going in, you're going to look for that thing that you have a thought of, you know. So that's why sometimes you got to watch it again, you know. Well, so you can't throw out the Auburn tape because I need to know what he looks like when he doesn't have, when he has dysfunction. Because if you get drafted to the Broncos, what is he going to have?
A shit ton of dysfunction.
So I need to know, how did you handle that? So that's why you can't throw it out. You know?
Ryan Tannehill, there's your Washington quarterback. There's your starter.
Oh, yeah, he is out there. That's right. That's a stopgap.
So take that, Dopey. It's going to happen. Don't listen to the Redskins, Commanders, whatever.
Just remember where everyone heard it first, from Dave right here on the IRP.
Take that, Mel Kiper. I'm your Bill Polian now, bitch. No, because again, you got to sit there and think if you're the Vikings. What? How much do you want to pay a receiver? Again, when you have no other, your linemen struggle.
Right. And with Flores doing the defense, it's always going to be too good to be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to win you 6 games just because of how they play, you know, the attacking style defense they play will win you games.
You just paid Hawkinson a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
In what, 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to pay Addison.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah,
If you fall in love with someone, don't be surprised if that's one of the old bargaining chips, or even. And again, I don't think he'd be at 3 because, I mean, you got to assume Caleb's number 1. That's what you have to assume.
Whether I don't think they would have the balls to take anyone else.
No, and if they took somebody else,
stupid as it is, you feel like you have to justify the pick you're taking when you're taking that high, even though it's stupid and it shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. You should be like, I did my own thing. You hired me to do this job. This is who I like, you know. But it happens all the time. I got to be able to justify if it doesn't work out. Well, that's what everyone else would have done.
You're not going to win 14 games next year anyway, Dopey. Sorry. If you win 7, that's going to be a very good year for you guys. My Chargers win 3. I'm going to be happy.
You know, Harbaugh will sneak it out. You know, he will. It'll be just enough to be annoying to you. That 8-9, 9-8, worst place to be in the NFL.
Lose to Denver both times. Be like, oh, good.
No, that'll probably be 2 of their 3 wins.
No. They won't have scored.
At the rate Denver's going, Denver may be playing for the number 1 pick next year.
Chargers, if they got to release how many people to get under the cap.
Yeah, because literally, I'm trying to think. The only thing they could do is add more years to Herbert's. And that's about it, because you can't do anything with Allen, Williams, Bosa, Mack, because you don't want to have them on the books for another year. So Herbert's about the only guy you can do it with. That makes enough money to save you enough money. But then you're talking a cap hit of $100 million in 3 years because you'd have to do so. Yeah, that's where they're stuck.
Like I said, I'd rather have them doing what Denver's doing. And again, if you got to get rid of all the talent, so be it.
Yeah, again, at least you have the quarterback part.
Yep.
You know, so you're like, okay, we can be bad for a year. and you trust Harbaugh to build a team pretty quickly once he had money,
Unless Herbert gets hurt.
Yeah, that's the danger.
And then what do you do?
Right.
Because you're banking on him to be your franchise for the next 10 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what happens if, they get rid of everybody and freaking he goes down to a ACL and doesn't come back the same,
Right. So that's why I think you're just going to keep all these guys. And you're going to be too good to be bad. But not good enough.
You still got to find a way to get under the cap. That's the issue. Where
that's why I'd have to look at it again. But I think that's like the only idea is to add like void years to his contract.
Yeah, then you'll be in like a cousin situation where it's like you want to keep him, but you can't. Maybe they'll move to the CFL. Move up by where Paul's at, like Moose Jaw or something, Yellowstone or Yellowknife, and way up in Saskatchewan. Way
and
up
not
there.
and not be able to afford anybody.
That's fine. Including fans. So it's been interesting. I was hoping there'd be more trades. The other one that I was sort of happy with, even though I don't like the team, was Chris Jones getting paid. I think game one of last year, losing to Detroit at home, it's sort of like, how much do you want to pay me again?
Yep.
Remind me of that. Let me know. So, again, that's going to be an interesting situation, too, where you pretty much got the highest paid guy in defense, highest paid guy in offense.
And they just messed with Mahomes' contract, too.
I know.
Which I was surprised because they don't normally play that game. So
I think they're going to be paying Mahomes till about 2060. The way it's going.
Makes you wonder what's going to end up happening with Kelsey then, too.
Yeah, the fact, I know his agent has tried to get him to hold out and stuff because he's like, you're making $14 million. You should be making 25 to 30. And he's content.
Well, we're only getting half truths, I think, with what's being reported in that whole situation. It would be interesting because, like, I hate Travis Kelce. He's a hell of a football player, but I hate him as a person. It would be interesting to see if he had the same attitude not playing in Kansas City, somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he is a superstar in Kansas City, he almost can, like, do no wrong. But yet, I think if he ended up going somewhere else with a different coaching staff, he wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. He could just be a douche. And that's just who he is. But, not all coaching staffs are going to tolerate that type of attitude or behavior either. I don't know.
No, and I think he knows he's got a good thing there. And then if you're getting your money from Pfizer, you're getting your money from Doritos or Kraft or whoever, because he's in
making it up.
Campbell's Chunky Soup. I mean, you got some money coming in. But what is it, State Farm? He's on that shit too. So I mean,
he ain't hurting when it comes to endorsements.
Yeah.
So
but like I said, in a world where people aren't doing that anymore, he's about the only one left.
Him and Mahomes, those are the only
like
two.
Chris Jones has told him for 3 years, I ain't taking no discount.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they had to keep like franchising him and all that. And he's like, I'll just wait. And then eventually he just had to do it. Fascinating.
It would also be interesting to see, though, if Kelsey were to leave Kansas City, what that would do to their offensive strategy, though, too. Would they still be the same team that we've been seeing the last few years? Because
I still don't even know how they won the title this year.
I don't either. But, like, I digress.
Yeah, because they miss Tyreek Hill. You can see it. Yep. But it doesn't matter in terms of wins. Because, like, the first half of that 49ers game, that was the offense we saw in the regular season. They sucked. Yep. Now, the second half, turned around, that punt obviously changed everything, the fumble punt. But I'm just like, you obviously missed this guy. But it somehow doesn't matter. And it frustrates me. They find a new way, and they draft well, so
they do.
How they can, pay the quarterback $50 million, and it doesn't matter.
I think it would be different though. Losing somebody like Kelsey, that would be a worse hit to them offensively than losing Tyreek Hill. I could be wrong because, like, Andy Reid is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, I mean, he would get like Todd Pinkston open,
I mean, like
Fly Morris,
hell of a coach. And anybody who disagrees with that, like, I'll fight you in the street.
And then how about Steve Spagnuolo being content to just being the defensive coordinator? Which, he tried the head coach thing once, but he realized this is what I do well. And I'm happy, and I'm just going to do it. And I'm like, good for you, buddy. All these guys that just assume, like, I'm going to be head coach, and then in 2 years, you're back to being the defensive coordinator again.
Josh McDaniels.
It's like, at least he knows I'm good at it. I'm happy. This works,
Well, and there's a lot of coaches out there that I think are more content being like a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator. Like, it's not about the money to them because, let's face it, it's a big bump moving to a head coach. But if you suck as a head coach, you kind of taint your legacy. If you're good at being an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator and you're winning championships, what's wrong with that?
Right.
I mean, that's where you can cement your legacy, sticking at what you're good at.
Because, he's to the point where he can almost argue he's the best assistant coach ever. Most accomplished.
At this point, yeah, 100%.
Because he did 2 with the Giants, too, as defensive coordinator. So, yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, I get it as a coordinator. You want that next step, especially if you're a younger guy, because you want to test the waters.
Yeah, at least try. Right.
I get that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But these seasoned guys, why not? You've been coaching.
He tried
for 30
it once
years.
and realized this ain't what it's cracked up to be. I'll just.
Well, because you have too much shit to worry about. Yes, you have your coordinators underneath you, but at the end of the day, if you lose, it's you.
Right.
It's not the coordinators, it's you.
Yep.
Yeah.
The freaking players could just go out and stand on the field and do absolutely nothing, and it would still be your fault.
Yep.
So
yeah, and again, if you won how many rings now, it's like why fuck around? That's the same with what's his name, Jim Schwartz. It's like, yeah, I tried that head coaching shit. I had a winless season. I'm good as a D coordinator. Yeah, that's where I'll stick. Leslie Frazier, same thing.
Oh,
it's like you do with the Vikings, but it's like, why deviate from something if you're getting compensated well enough to have the additional burden of media pressure, ownership pressure, fan base pressure? Hey, I'm the defensive coordinator. My defense was top 7. What do you want me to do? Hey, we were in every game. our offense didn't score. I'm not going to publicly say that, but
Right.
the metrics.
Going to the owner meeting and be like, "What me?"
Yeah. Yeah, all you
I
gotta do-
can't force the opposing quarterback to throw me a pick six and score points on defense solely to compensate for your shitty offense.
Yeah, when they start saying, "Well, you guys need to do something else," and be like, "Just play the Shaggy song." Wasn't me. Defense wasn't me. So, yeah, that's again. Let the young guys try their hand. Maybe you find a diamond in the rough or some character that's able to withstand the pressure. But yeah, if you're 55, 60, why the fuck bother with it? Be like, hey, I'll put my 2 cents in if you guys don't want to listen. I'm just the defensive coordinator.
So, do you think Snead gets traded from the
Who?
Chiefs? Ladarius Snead. Do you think he actually, because they franchised him, but
It's going to depend on what you can get. I mean,
and to me, it depends on what style of defense you play. If you don't play the tight man-to-man, he's going to be worthless. You know, you stick him in a big Fangio scheme, he's going to look like, why the heck did we trade for this guy? You know, so that's what's fascinating about it is you got to play that tight. He'll get holding calls sometimes, but he will also just frustrate the heck out of a receiver at the end of it. You know?
and I don't think that safety market, like you said, is done. I think Harrison Smith, if he doesn't agree to a restructure, he's done in Minnesota too.
Yep, there's a lot of good safeties out there, which I don't really get because in a passing league, safeties have to be able to cover.
Yep.
So maybe that'll be the next thing that's valuable because the only safety that got paid was McKinney to the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, they all make under $10 million basically. So.
Denver could have found a way to keep Justin Simmons. Just saying.
Yeah. Maybe they just did him the solid of like, you don't want to be around for this.
Maybe.
Because with his age, he's got 2 prime years left probably, which would have been wasted.
That hurt though. That one hurt. That one hurt. That one hurt. But then again, I'm not in the GM's, not sitting at the GM's desk. I'm not having conversations with the ownership. Like, they could have restructured that. They could have figured out something.
Yep.
Another leader on the defense that just like gone.
Yeah, it's frustrating when they're your guys. You develop them the whole time. They did everything right. That's why, like the Christian Wilkins thing, he was the first draft pick to the rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Improved every single year. Leader in the community, like favorite of everyone's. And it's like, to see him leave, it's just, even though it makes financial sense, it's just a killer because you're just like, he did everything right. You know, those are the guys you want to pay, you know.
Well, and that's the other reason why I don't want, PS2 to even be in any conversation at all.
Yep.
But, I get it. It's a business. Doesn't mean I have to like it, right?
Right.
What about T. Higgins? What do you think happens with him?
Yeah, see, like, to me, that had Cardinals or something written all over it, you know? Because Kyler Murray will throw it up. Because, again, T. Higgins doesn't get a ton of separation. He's a bigger, so you got to have a quarterback willing to throw to a guy that's not really open, like Burrow is, So he's not for everyone. So you have to go to a quarterback that isn't afraid to throw in tight spaces. Kyler will throw it there. So I think he's a fit. Who else is a good fit for him? That's one of the few teams I think that can afford him and be a fit. I think that's probably the best one right now. I don't know what it would cost to get him, though, honestly. I don't know what his market is. Because I feel like he would be a guy that has a lot of varying. How good are you? Are you a 1 or are you a 2? I think he's a 2. But
And Tyler Boyd's still out there too. So if you want somebody that's had a lengthy resume of solid years,
he's perfect. You pick him up with a veteran quarterback, best friend. Cheap signing. That's you know what you're getting every week.
I would be shocked if he ends up in Pittsburgh. That would be I'll take a 1-year deal as well and pay me whatever 7 to 10 million, and I'll take my chances.
Yep.
If he went to Arizona, though, would it be actually Kyler Murray throwing him the ball, or does Arizona draft a quarterback?
I think the way that thing's structured is he's there 2 more years, I believe.
I was gonna say I don't think it's done yet with the guarantees.
Yeah. So yeah, I think just the way stuff is.
But then again, as we all know, they can get creative with shit too.
Oh yeah, So like when I use the words that contract's untradeable, nothing's untradeable.
No.
If you're willing to sweeten the pot. Yeah.
Because I know, like, one of my coworkers who lives in Arizona, like, he's not ready to move on from Kyler, but he's ready to move on from Kyler. Yeah. And it's like
too good to get rid of.
I get it. Yep. Because like 2 weeks he's what you expect, and then the next he's like, who the fuck are you? Did you forget how to play football?
Right. Yeah. You look at it and you go, yeah, he's too small to play in the NFL. And then the next week you're like, well, he overcame that. And then it's the same thing in a few weeks. Like, okay, maybe he's just too small. He's complicated too. Like, man, if you were just 6'3",
yeah, figure out a way to stretch out your legs.
Yeah. Go to the dungeon with the crank turning thing. Stretch you out at least to 6 feet. At least to 6 feet.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, you don't have to be 6'2", 6'3" to win championships either. So it helps.
Yeah,
it helps.
Right.
But well, Dave, we are coming up on 2 hours. We talked the topic the whole time.
I was going to say, I feel like this was a decent episode here. I think we did pretty good here.
We didn't get off topic. Yeah, we kind of intermixed the draft talk because that is coming up.
The type of people that'll watch this episode, I think, will enjoy that.
But the fact of the matter is, all the stuff that's going on does have some impact in the upcoming draft. So it is relevant. So
yeah, it's not like Atlanta signed Kirk Cousins. Well, we still need a quarterback at number 8. No, you fucking just completely changed what you needed. So
yep.
Yeah, there wasn't anything. I'm trying to think what else there was of all the.
The other like trade wise was Carlton Davis to the Lions, which they definitely need another corner. So that was one of the key things they were missing. So.
Yeah, and that was just for like a third, and they also got like a fifth and a sixth with him. Yeah. So
because there really hasn't been many trades.
No, and that's been
just flat out released and sign, or hasn't been a whole lot of trades going on. So.
No. New England's the other one that we mentioned the 2 linemen, Antonio Gibson signing there, which I think I said pre-show was a sneaky, or maybe during the show. I don't even remember. Brissett, again, familiarity with the organization, and then Taki, super cheap from Cleveland.
Yeah.
You're getting him for like $3 million. That's like fucking. You're telling me somebody else would pay him $4 million a year?
That's what I'm saying. It's like some of these guys, it's like randomly great value. And you're like, that guy isn't that much worse than the $10 million guy.
No, I mean you're paying this guy less
Yeah.
for 2 years than somebody's making in 1 year. That's a more questionable for even considering him. But you used to not see New England make a lot of those moves. They have signed a lot of their guys, but I mean they're usually.
And like I said, they're kind of trying to spend money, and no one seems to want to be there. That isn't already there.
Yeah.
They've signed the guys already there that they wanted to keep. But from the outside, people are a little like,
we want to
transition period. What are they now? There's no more Bill Belichick, which could be a good thing for some offensive guys.
Is it the coaching change that
right.
may not lure top tier talent to New England? Because let's face it, no more Belichick. They get rid of Mac Jones, who was the future. So to a degree, they are rebuilding in a sense. But, on the flip side, I could see star talent wanting to go and be a part of a rebuild, though, too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You got the fan base. You got the fan base that's ready for success.
Yeah, and an owner that will give you time.
Mm-hmm.
Fire everyone, guys. So even assistants or anything. So yeah, it actually could be inviting. I think you just got to get the ball rolling. Somebody that says, "I believe it," and come with me. That kind of thing. So we'll see. But yeah, they have the money to spend, but they kind of can't spend.
Yeah, I think that's going to take a year or two to see what they got with Mayo there and Elliott Wolf.
Yeah, is the defense the same? If it is, and whoever's running the offense, it works. You're back to annual playoffs again. So.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about your team, Brad? We haven't really touched a ton on all the movers and shakers besides Christian Wilkins. Xavier Howard's gone.
Right. We're doing the exact opposite of what we normally do. We're usually the big splash guys.
Mm-hmm.
This time we're losing the big splash guys. Okay, Jordan Brooks, I think slight upgrade over Jerome Baker for basically the same money if you count Baker's dead cap hit. So that's fine. Jordan Poyer has lost a step. We just signed him at safety. Is he done or not? That's going to be the question. Mm-hmm. Shaq Barrett, same thing. Good established players, but they're past their primes. Do they have a year left of? If they do, this could work out nicely. If they don't, you could see major regression on the part. Because like Shaq Barrett's got to play. Because Phillips and Bradley Chubb, both serious injuries towards the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So even if they're ready for week one, it's really midway through the season, you're back to normal. So he's going to have to play a lot. So, and then they got a great run blocking center who can't pass block. But if he could pass block too, he'd be $20 million. So, mm-hmm. That's really, but he's a great run blocker for this game. So overall, they were more responsible than they normally are. But we're banking on guys slightly past their prime to actually play.
The only good part with that, though, too,
But they're cheap. They're not.
Yeah. And 1 year deals.
Yeah, it's not a long-term thing, but they're still trying to win this year. Yep. Last year was the year to do it.
Yeah.
And if healthy, we were at least close. But, of course, the end of the year didn't go well with that. But so he wasn't wrong for going for it because he did have at least a top 6 squad, I thought. Healthy. So, but Yeah, now he's forced to play the bargain bin game. Does he hit on them? Do these guys still have juice left? If they do, I think we'll be fine.
I like Jonnu Smith. I like that signing.
Yep,
Wow.
theoretically. But this is my rant that he's got to change with the offense. Because I preached it when we were scoring 70 points, that this is a mirage because we can't move the ball 5 yards at a time.
Really? Did you have to go throw out the 70 points?
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Really?
Yes.
Fuck you,
That's
Brad.
all I have. But it was like almost the worst thing that happened.
Yep.
Because I told people even throughout the year, I preached it. If we don't get a 20-yard play on a drive, we don't score. Now, a lot of teams can't get a 20-yard play, and that's the problem. We were the opposite. If we don't get the big play, we don't score.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the playoffs, what are they going to make sure you don't do? We got the one big play, and that was the only time we scored in the playoff game. You can't play in playoffs like that.
No.
Especially in off weather. So they've got to find the short passing game and then a power run game.
Yeah, you can't have constant. And again, when you hit on it, when A-Chain or Mostert goes 60 yards, that's great. Hey.
Yeah,
good,
it's a good offense that just needs tweaking. You got to add the element of downhillness and chip away.
And that would have been, I know it wasn't going to happen, but that would have been a beautiful spot for Derrick Henry to land.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. You want to try to stop Derrick Henry? Hey, we're going to run Derrick Henry pretty much the first 4 or 5
when we signed his center, who's a master run blocker, I was like, maybe this is a sign here. Because I'm not for paying running back. So, but that would have been the exception because you're changing an identity here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we could still have a fast A-Chain guy to come in, but that isn't all we have. Because Mosert's kind of the same type of guy too.
Yep.
As you said, it's awesome when it's working.
When it's not, it's brutal to watch.
We were not functional when we don't get a big play.
1st and 10, 2nd and 11, 3rd and 14, and then you try to throw and you get 5 yards because that's the only thing that's open is with a punter long or one of your tight ends underneath. It's like, yeah, great. 4th and 9. Wow.
All right.
Great. And then the next series of downs, you throw it to Tyreek for 75 and all is well. It's like, well, no, it's not. That's
right.
That's
the box score looks great because I think we finished first in total offense, but we weren't the best offense.
That's like
if you watched every week, you knew that. But the casual person's like, "Where's this offense?" And I'm like, "This isn't surprising what I saw against the Chiefs. It's not really surprising, especially in the cold weather."
Oh God.
We also got unlucky with a little bit with that. With what was the chances of that? Not just cold, but -30.
Yeah, that's called fucking cold, bro.
Right, where people are losing fingers and toes. You know.
I was gonna say that's all you see now is like frostbite amputations is like now at 38.
Definitely see it. If you didn't have like warmers in one of those two, I could definitely see how that happened.
And I remember one guy had no shirt on. I remember that, seeing that, and I'm like, you're fucking stupid.
But think about how lucky they are at player. It didn't happen to a player.
Oh God, if it does,
You're talking a change throughout the league of having to have retractable roofs. And, could you imagine what would have came of that? But yeah, so we're still good, but this could be a dip if these older players don't work, because we're going to depend on them to play. But it's not. At least it's not a financial commitment for years to come. So that's the one change up. At least we're not completely screwing ourselves years ago. So
what do you think? What do you think, Tyrone? What do you think? I'm dumb. I'm not stupid.
That's debatable.
I wear shorts most of the time too, like to work and stuff. But if I was going to be outside, I would, like for anything.
Yeah, for 3-4 hours. I'm like, no. I'm wearing long underwear, and then I'm probably wearing jeans, then I'm probably wearing like baggy sweatpants over that, then a shirt, probably a sweatshirt, then like a winter jacket, probably this hat or a ball cap, then a stocking cap on top, then wearing like the dainty finger, like the figure skater gloves, and then like choppers on top. I'd have to find some sort of boots, but I mean, yeah, you're not if you don't dress for that weather. That's if you let some libations
Yeah.
fuck you up. That's on you. It's called having a brain in those situations. Oh, liquid courage might help you at the time, but obviously a month and a half later, guess what? It's not helping too much.
Yes, Orlando, we could understand why you get to wear shorts all the time in South Florida.
I don't think I'd ever wear pants in Florida anywhere. Panhandle, around Dazzler, or down in Miami. I know it'd be shorts 24/7.
So are we all in agreement that the Texans were the winner of free agency so far? I can't think of another team that was better. Am I missing one? Like Commanders signed a lot of guys, but I don't know that it was better.
What was the thing? If they didn't sign Eckler and they didn't sign again Ertz, I don't care about him.
Yeah.
And then, but everybody else, Doris Armstrong. That's the one that Bidaz from Dallas, Louvu,
Yeah.
Allegretti,
Some of them, yeah.
and then today Jeremy Chin for 1 year, $5 million.
That was actually in my best value category.
So I mean, it's those guys. I'm like, if it's just them, McManus 1 for 3.6. I'm indifferent. Yeah. I mean, you need a kicker because it seems like every year you're going through a kicker or two. But the Ertz, Armstrong, and Eckler, those are the three where you could have saved what per year 6, let's say 5.5, 10, 21 million you could have saved right there. Per year. And I mean it's 1 for Ertz, 2 for Eckler, 3 for Armstrong, but still those ones I'm just like, that's old Washington to me. That's Daniel Snyder Washington. We're trying to I'm an Eckler fan. Last year he looked not 1 step floor, not 2 steps. He was like a toddler trying to walk out there slow, trying to hit the hole. So I don't know what they saw. I watched whenever the Chargers were on, I watched them. And Eckler banged up, and he sucks. He's done. He's done. So congrats to him for getting $5.5, $6 million a year. Minnesota, I like what they did and they didn't do. Again, you knew you had to overpay. You probably weren't going to get Daniil back at the hometown discount. I mean, Greenard for what, 18 million or 19 million a year?
Yeah, that's the swing for the fence kind of thing.
Which again, I get where you're losing 2 of your guys, 2 of your pass rush guys. You got to do something, and if that's the young guy who fits that Flores system, okay, if I'm a Vikings fan, I'll believe in that. But
and Van Ginkel did go there. So.
And then Blake Cashman, who Minnesota boy going back home. So I like
that was another guy who was randomly great last year, but did nothing before that.
I know.
So was it a D'Amico Ryan system thing, or was it you just figured it
out? Which let's hope for the Vikings fans, you figured it out. But
yeah, you just figured it out.
Other than that, Giants did. I mean, thankfully for them, I guess they didn't have to give up 2 firsts for Burns, but 5 years, 150, and then 87.5 guaranteed. Runyon, again, I know that's His old man was
It
great.
was up and down, but yeah, overall it was worth a shot. They needed somebody. So
Singletary, that's another one that I don't know. Drew Lock, whatever. It's a backup quarterback. Illumineer, again, another guy that a backup. You need.
yeah, that would be ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you have a great offensive line, he's your weak link. You're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're on the same page with that.
Everybody who was in the freaking Russell trade is now out of Seattle.
Yeah. Well, no. Fant, he's
What?
still there.
Oh yeah, Fant did resign today, I think.
Yeah, but he didn't do much.
That's true. I again, overpay aside. We've said it before. Draft time. We say it during these shows. If you've got a young quarterback, you need to fucking protect him. You need to give him weapons. Carolina, plugging up the middle, and then getting Deontay Johnson from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they're at least they tried, yes. Because their tackles actually aren't bad, but their guards are horrible. Inside was horrible.
Yeah.
So yeah. Little by little.
And again, we said it with Atlanta. You swing for the fence with Cousins. That division is winnable.
Yep.
And you get some intelligent leadership down there in Carolina. Let's hope that Bryce Young looks a little better.
That's the thing is, let's say it takes 2 more years. Well, then by that point, Cousins might be done with the Falcons.
Yep.
Because I think it's only the first 2 years it's like automatically.
Yep. It's like 90 or 100.
Like 38, in that range. So he might want to call it. And then you're ready to take over, So, and then all the Bucks should be old by then and done. So, and then the Saints eventually have to rebuild.
Yeah, they can't keep pushing. They're kicking that can down the road.
Yeah, they're the only team that ever has done it this long. They've done it now a long time. Like the Steelers did it like 5 years. But the Saints have been doing it, 12?
I was going to say, at least a better part of a decade, if not longer. It's just been constant.
When they messed with Derek Carr's contract, I was just, what are you
doing? Where does Michael Thomas end up?
See, the problem with him is he's got an attitude. He's a problem. And you're not been very good.
No.
Well, it's fascinating.
Makes me wonder if somehow he's going to end up in Denver. Just because he played so good under Peyton.
Yep.
Peyton had his number.
That might be the only place he can go. Because, he just seems like he's a problem. Like, not typical diva problem, but just a problem. And injuries as well, on top of being a problem. So
he's not quite a head case, but he's borderline a head case.
Yeah, he's just kind of a jerk, I think. Difficult.
But he played phenomenal under Peyton.
Yep.
I mean, somehow, he played phenomenal and he got paid. Deserving.
Oh yeah, he earned it
for the caliber of play.
Basically, he was in reverse. He was such a bargain. You basically paid him for what he did, and then he just flipped around.
Yep. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out kind of as we were kind of wrapping up.
Yeah, he's tough because I think like you would not want to stick him with a rookie quarterback.
No.
Heck no. So, yeah, he might just have to go to like a team like that. At least that he's familiar with a guy there,
Either that or with, again, if you're not going to Denver, a Raiders where, hey, Devontae Adams is there. You're second fiddle. I don't give a shit what you've done. You haven't done anything the last 5 years except get hurt and do stupid shit off the field. This is probably your last chance when you go here. Right. Or maybe Dallas if they get rid of Gallup or something. And you got enough clout in that locker room where it's like, you don't want to be here. That's not going to bother us at all.
Right.
So you gotta have structure and leadership at the top. If you don't, it's gonna be like a Bengals early 2000s with Brad Johnson.
Right.
He rubs off on Hushmanzada, and even though Hushmanzada is mostly quiet, he'll get chippy because you got all these personalities out there that are just douchebags. And, well, guess what? Then your locker room sours, and so
Denver would not play Carr for anything. Stidham is going to be the starting quarterback. Hence the reason why they signed him for 2 years and the amount of money that they did. I think that signing is what solidified Russ being gone this year.
them
Honestly.
having some sort of viable option to plug in.
Yep. So,
Well, with that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
And I will say, if your team didn't do anything in free agency, 90% of the time, that's a good thing. It's because it's usually ran properly and you don't have 12 holes to fill in free agency. So if your team did very little or signed one, most of the time it's a good sign, not a bad sign. Most of the time.
So are you trying to say Dallas is that team?
It's not horrible. Now, some of the contract, like the Saints, is not good.
No.
Because of how it was done. You have so much dead cat. And, yeah, that's a different situation. But like Cowboys, you're still a playoff team with a few things. I think you can bargain bin shop and you're fine.
I just had to throw that out there.
But yeah, that's who I was thinking of fans freaking out because all they've signed is their long snapper.
And, of course, they got rid of Pollard.
Yeah. Which it looked like Rico Dowdle became Pollard. You remember when he was there with Zeke? Like, oh, this guy has fresh young legs.
Yep.
Well, of course, early on speculation was Derrick Henry was going to Dallas, though, too. That's why, nobody really made a stink when they got rid of Pollard. Oh, well, we're getting Derrick Henry. yeah, well, I guess not.
Say Cincinnati too. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Those again. Baltimore losing Geno Stone to Cincinnati,
right?
But then getting him Zach Moss for a replacement for Dixon, and then your former tight end for pretty much peanuts.
Yeah.
Gesicki for 1 year, 3.25.
I was right about him too, by the way. When all these Dolphin fans were like, we need to sign him to 10. I'm like, he's not any good. He just makes spectacular catches, so you get enamored. But you know why he has to make those catches? Because he's never open.
No. Never in the right spot.
That's why I preach, yeah. Him and Jerome Baker, I always preach, these guys aren't good.
So them getting them, since you're doing that, again, it's going to depend on Tyler Boyd and then Higgins, what the hell happened there. Getting rid of Joe Mixon, though, that's a big thing for them. That's sort of something.
Yeah. I like Chase Brown, though, coming in. So, everybody assumes that Chase Brown they drafted last year in Illinois. He looked lively.
Yes.
That's what made almost towards the end of the year, we were like, oh, Joe Mixon has lost his step. Sometimes you don't realize it until you get the lively guy in there, and you're like, okay, he hits that hole a little faster,
Yeah. And then Baltimore, again, you probably overpaid for Adbuike, their D tackle. 4 for 98. Again, I didn't see a guarantee number. Getting Henry, again, 2 for 16, 9 guaranteed, which isn't much. Losing John Simpson, your guard, to the Jets. But they always seem to find...
There's certain positions they always just find.
We touched on it earlier. It's they know what they're doing. So if you're a Baltimore fan and you stumble across this and you're worried, the thing I'd probably be worried about most is Ronnie Stanley. that if he can stay healthy for a year,
Yeah.
that would be the one thing, because you're going to find a linebacker, you're going to find defenders, you're going to find interior linemen. You're good, and you can find a running back if you want to get rid of Justice Hill. Find somebody a little cheaper. Again, you guys are going to be receivers. I think they're going to be out
Yeah, that's the
Odell,
only thing that you should.
and that's been for
Every
how
team
many
has something. That's probably their thing. They hit
That's
Zay Flowers though. He looks legit. But
Derek
Yeah.
Mason's probably the only one they ever had that was legit somebody. But yeah, Travis Taylor didn't work out. I'm trying to think, Mark Clayton from Oklahoma didn't work out.
Yep.
What other rookie premier autographs were out there? Rashad
even
Bateman.
Bateman got hyped up a lot, and he just hasn't.
Yeah, they're just. So yeah, that's about it.
Yep.
Gabe Davis getting $39 million. That was stupid.
Yeah. He's a 4-game-a-year guy.
And they've already got that type of receiver down there. So let's add another one, the same receiver. Other than that, I don't know. A lot more we could talk about, but at the same time.
Yeah, 49ers continue to sign defensive linemen.
Yeah, they lose
But
them.
they
And
do draft and sign defensive linemen constantly.
Yeah, Eric Armstead will be available pretty quick. Somebody will pick him up. And
I'm interested to see what kind of money he gets because he's 31. So that's usually the 1-year contract territory. But does he get over 10? That's what we'll see.
I think he gets over 10 if it's incentives.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, yeah. If somebody pays him 10 straight away, hey, good luck. So, well, thank Brad for coming on. Maybe we'll sneak him in this week, and wanted to make sure talked about free agency. And again, I didn't think anything was going to happen till like tomorrow. So again, when I said shit started popping up yesterday, I'm like, did I miss it? What? And they started talking about the tampering period. I'm like, never mind, it's all that bullshit.
Yeah.
So we'll have Brad on probably in 7 more weeks when the draft starts or draft season is nearby, and hopefully there's a little more clarity by then. If not, that will make an interesting draft, which I know that wouldn't break our hearts either. Remember, if you got nice Scottie Pippen cards from the Bulls, send them to Brad.
Yeah, because you can't afford them. It makes no sense because think about all the players from that era. Why does he sell for the most that isn't like Michael Jordan and those type of guys? Like, why does he sell for 10 times the amount of Karl Malone? I mean, I know why, because it's all about supply and demand thing, but it just makes no sense.
No, and it's Scottie Pippen. His playing days they were great.
Oh yeah, like he should sell, but it's like he should be in that Larry Bird range, right? Magic Johnson range. He sells for more than those guys,
which is absurd.
And it's because of the supply out there. But
yes,
and I'm talking the high end stuff, folks. If you know, but yeah, like I can't find a patch autograph for less than $700.
You don't need another one, Brad. You already have one.
Yeah, that's why I was so shocked to get that one. Because I'm like, I literally will never own this otherwise, most likely, Because number one, it's like I'm never going to pay the money. I just can't justify it, even if I have it. I'm like, I could buy like 3 nice Merinos with that.
I was going to say, we'll go back to the Merino comparison. Like if I can get a patch to 5, a patch to 20, and like an auto to 100 for the price of that, and like, well, of course I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But technically, Brad, you don't ever have to shop for one again if you
That's
don't
true.
want to.
That is true. Looking at it right now. It's right up there on the wall.
I'm sure you look at it quite often. Like,
What the hell is that? Oh, yeah.
that is.
What? I have that?
When did I get that?
No, this is a fucking dream.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Old upper deck shit? No way.
Wrap us up, Dave.
So thank you to Brad coming on. Thank you everybody for chiming in with all your comments, criticisms, queries. Always fun. I love these episodes because again, we get to talk football, and that's right.
I don't talk as much, which is even better.
Well, you're the hockey guy, so
Yeah.
Fuck you, Dave.
hey, it's a family show.
No, it's not. I'll go ahead and throw it out one more time. If you want to vote, it's still up. We'll probably quote unquote close it off soon. So then Dave and I can prep and figure out when we'll air that.
Oh, is that the set vote thing? Okay, yeah, I voted on that. Okay.
Yeah. Last I checked, and it's been a couple days, we were still sitting at 16 votes. Still 97 Skybox Premiums leading the charge, which is kind of what I was thinking was going to end up leading the charge anyways. But we'll probably let it run through this weekend in the event that somebody hasn't seen it and still wants to cast a vote. I can't technically, quote unquote, shut it off. But so it'll give Dave and I at least a few weeks to prep and locate, which will take some time.
See what we need and see what we have.
If for some miraculous reason it changes, then there'll probably be more. But I'm pretty sure between the two of us, if it is 97 Skybox Premium, we're covered for everything. So, unless, well, we can talk about it, in after hours. Because I don't want to spoil anything, because then that would defeat the purpose of having the episode, right?
Right.
No spoilers.
So, till next week, Brad. That's the Foul-Mouthed Hockey Oracle. I'm Dave. This has been the Insert Revolution podcast. Itchy noses and all. Remember,
Yeah, how did that
collecting
work?
cards, wonderful hobby. If one puts you forge along the way, that's what really matters. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
All right.